Miss Tabor, Landgraf, Miss Landgraf. Who would you like first? Have Miss Kirkowski? I think you have a couple people.
I have two people.
All right, Mr. Kirkowski is right there.
You can take her up. You mind if I sit by you?
Good move.
Here, that's fine.
We will go on the record in the matter 26 CF 21. State of Wisconsin versus Mogen Kirkowski. The state appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. Ms. Kirkowski appears by video conferencing, currently out of custody. I believe she is in a treatment facility. We have her counsel Renee Landgraf, who is present here in person. We're set for the initial appearance. Ms. Landgraf, have you went over the criminal complaint with Ms. Kirkowski?
Yes, Judge, I did. We would waive a formal reading, enter a not guilty plea to count 4. That's the only misdemeanor. We would like to schedule this for a speedy preliminary hearing as long as Ms. Kirkowski can appear by Zoom. She's in a treatment facility in
She may not. If it's speedy, she must be here in person.
Okay. Given that, Ms. Kirkowski, I'd advise that we waive the time limits for a preliminary hearing so you can appear in person when you get back, because I don't want you to.
If it's not speedy, she can appear by Zoom, but if it's speedy, then she must be here in person. Because aren't you in like Texas or something?
Yeah.
She's in a treatment facility in Texas.
All right, so we can accommodate a Zoom earlier to squeeze it in, but I'm not going to accommodate a speedy without it being in person.
Okay.
What time frame will we be looking at, Your Honor?
On a Mr. Schmidt week, you'd be looking at April 20th at 2:15. Oh, yeah, at 2:15.
I believe she might even be out of treatment by then. Would that be okay with you if we waive the time limits but scheduled it for April 20th?
Okay.
Is that okay with you? Yep.
Yeah, that's okay.
April 20th at 2:15.
Your Honor, I also filed a motion to modify.
I thought you filed a motion to modify bond, requesting that she be able to have contact with Mr. Akana, I believe.
That's correct. They were originally, I believe, arrested together, and I'm not sure if he was going to be charged as a co-defendant, but there are no charges filed against him. My client has no criminal history whatsoever. That is her significant other, and she would like to have contact with him.
How long have you and Mr. Akana been in a relationship?
Since the middle, probably July of last year, but we live in the same apartment, but since I live in housing, it's possible that I may be evicted within now that my case is filed with the court, and I was hoping that I could be in contact with him because we have to move out of our apartment soon.
Okay, all right. Mr. Schmidt, any objection to them having any contact? He was not charged. I believe you said no pros.
It's because Miss Kirkowski told law enforcement the drugs were absolutely not his, they're hers.
Okay, all right. So no objection to the contact?
I don't object to the contact.
And I believe he's still under extended supervision requirements.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so I will remove the no contact with Mr. Akana, okay?
Thank you.
I don't know his situation. I don't know where he is in any of those things. I'm hoping he's doing well. But you can have contact. What? He's in custody? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So then that will be removed. You're going to need to sign a new bond before that takes effect. So we're going to need to have that sent to you, or your attorney can take care of that.
Your Honor, I have an email address for her therapist at the treatment center. So if that's all right, I would email it to her for her signature, and I can e-file it when they send it back.
Totally fine. That
Thank you.
works great. So once we get that signed, then that'll take effect, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, so we'll see you April 20th, 2:15. Anything further?
Not for me.
Oh, well, not guilty plea on the misdemeanor. You set the other ones. Okay, we're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Taylor.
Did you want to take up the in custody
Well,
first?
I guess I could. I don't know who.
I have one at 2:45, so I'm
Okay.
here regardless.
Where are you, sir?
Well,
You are Mr. Wells. On my calendar?
Your Honor, I
Oh,
believe,
yeah, at 2:00. Okay, yeah. That's right, we threw them in. We'll go on the record in the matter 23 CF 62, State of Wisconsin versus Joseph Wells. This date appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. Mr. Wells appears in person with counsel Joel Feliski. We're set here today in this matter for an arraignment. Mr. Feliski, were you able to go over the criminal information with Mr. Wells?
I was, Your Honor. It appears, apart from the new charges, to more or less mirror the criminal complaint. We'll waive formal reading to all counts, enter in a plea of not guilty. In discussion with the state, Your Honor, we are fairly close to a resolution. I'd ask for a status just because we're working out the finer details, but I think that can be put relatively quickly on the court's calendar if there's availability.
Not guilty plea will be entered on your behalf as to all of the charges. You are entitled to a jury trial. You would be entitled to a speedy trial should you request one. How quickly are you thinking?
Your Honor, in part, I would defer to the state. This just depends on communication with the victim in this matter. But I think in a ballpark of around 2 weeks.
And when is his sentencing? When are the sentencings in Minnesota?
I believe they were in April.
I believe you said April. I can't recall if it was on April.
April 16th.
That sounds right.
Okay, and what's going to happen? Like if he's in custody here, if we don't get him in before then, what's going to happen with his Minnesota stuff? Is he going to be able to appear by Zoom?
Yeah, they are by Zoom. It's the final step there.
Excellent. And I'm going to guess, or I'm going to ask, do you think does it look like it's a probation recommendation?
The one in Crow Wing will be dropped, and the one in Chippewa is I have to pay a $600 fine. And it'll be dropped down to a misdemeanor after that.
I can't get you in 2 weeks on a Schmidt week. It would have to be next week on a ADA week. Otherwise, it would have to be on the following ADA week. Otherwise, the first Schmidt week I have is May 4th week.
Is there a chance you could check with, we'll hear back from George before next week, right?
Usually, yeah.
We could try to shoot for next week. Basically, I made an offer, they made a counter offer. I said, if the victim is fine with it, then we'll just do that.
So what's the offer and counter offer?
Your Honor, the original offer was, just pulling this up here, it was a plea to 5 of the counts in the complaint, 5 counts, excuse me, of uttering a forgery in the complaint, stipulating to the restitution amount of $10,000.43. The original offer here was for 5 years of probation and conditional jail of 6 months as a joint agreement, or free to argue, with the sentence to be concurrent to Minnesota. I've made a counter proposal to the state for 3 months of conditional jail. There was also a question as to the restitution that I'd just like to get some more information on. But apart from those specific points, we are very close to an agreement here.
Sounds like you are pretty close. All right. Must be in there because they're not in the elevator. Can you knock on that, please? I can do Tuesday morning or Thursday afternoon of next week.
I think the second will work better for my calendar, Your Honor. I'm in Sawyer all day on Tuesday.
1 o'clock?
That will work.
All right, 1 o'clock. Do we need half hour? Do we need more than that? Is Dad going to make a statement? I'm not for sure, Your Honor. But for a half hour, just in case. Please. Yeah. All right, thank you. Then we are adjourned. March. April.
Your Honor, I apologize. I did want to clarify. Mr. Wells's bond didn't specify that he was allowed to write specifically to his father, just that he was allowed. Correct, Your Honor. The language of the bond says specifically that defendant may contact except, no contact except by telephone.
Oh, I said telephone and written. So, yeah, you'll be able to write.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure we make that change today. Okay?
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thursday.
Jesse James,
Next Thursday?
Next Thursday.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
client Bradley Belial Oyat. We have Emma Hanu in person with her client Dominic Fleckner. We're set today in these matters for preliminary hearings. Are they proceeding as such?
Yes.
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right. Mr. Vila, this is a joint hearing because these are co-defendants. So please call your first witness.
State calls Captain Julie Mead.
Captain Mead, please come forward, raise your right hand and be sworn in.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to provide today in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. You may begin.
Could you please state and spell your name?
Julie Mead, M-E-A-D,
And how are you currently employed?
captain for the Burnett County Sheriff's Office,
And how long have you been so employed?
25 years.
Prior to today's hearing, did you review criminal complaints as they relate to Burnett County cases 25 CF 150 and 25 CF 151 in the matters relating to Dominique Fleckner and Bradley Belial?
I did.
Did law enforcement execute a search warrant at a residence at 648
Your Honor, I'm
Nelson
going to
Street?
object to her testimony. If the only knowledge she has is that she read criminal complaints, that doesn't satisfy the personal knowledge requirement. Hearsay is allowed, but that doesn't mean all the other rules of evidence go out the window at a preliminary hearing.
Hearsay is allowed. You can object if there's hearsay upon hearsay. But in order for her to, she's allowed to testify as to what she reads and provide hearsay. She doesn't necessarily need personal knowledge. Objection noted, but overruled.
Did law enforcement execute a search warrant at that residence at 648 Nelson Street North in the village of Grantsburg?
They did.
Is that area located in Burnett County?
Yes.
Did law enforcement make contact with anyone at the residence?
Yes, they made contact with Bradley Belial.
And how was Mr. Belay identified?
Personal knowledge of the officers that was there.
And did you review any booking photos of Mr. Belay prior to today's hearing?
I did.
Could you please ID Mr. Belay by where he's sitting and what he's wearing?
Yep, he's sitting next to Miss Landgraf at the defense table, wearing a jacket.
Let the record reflect that Captain Mead has identified Mr. Belial, otherwise known as Oyat. Mr. Vila,
Yes,
I'm
Your
going to
Honor.
ask you kindly to slow down.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Does anyone else reside at the residence?
Yes.
Who resides there?
Dominique Fleckner, and then the residence owner, Rita Wenzel, periodically.
Did law enforcement make contact with Ms. Fleckner?
They did. They actually made contact with her prior to the execution of the warrant,
And how was she identified?
prior law enforcement knowledge.
And prior to today's hearing, did you review any booking photos for Ms. Fleckner?
I did.
Could you please ID Ms. Fleckner by where she's sitting and what she's wearing?
Yes, Ms. Fleckner is sitting at the defense table, also wearing a jacket, black jacket.
The record reflect that Captain Mead has identified Ms. Fleckner.
Was the house at 648 Nelson Street searched?
Yes, it was.
What was found?
In the living room, officers located a purse containing Ms. Fleckner's driver's license and other identification cards, health insurance information for kids. Inside that purse was also a baggie, field tested positive for marijuana, weighed at 1.14 grams, and a, excuse me, a metal smoking device that also field tested positive for marijuana. In one of the bedrooms, later identified by the kids as dad's bedroom, a baggie of crystalline substance was located. That was also later field tested positive for methamphetamines.
Does Ms. Fleckner have any prior convictions for possession of THC?
Yes.
And what county was it in?
I'm not sure. I believe it was Burnett.
Uh,
I believe that would be outside the scope of her knowledge.
yeah, I believe so. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Landgraf?
Did you take part of this in the search?
I did not.
Do you know anything about this incident other than what you've read in the criminal complaint?
No.
No questions.
All right, Ms. Hanu?
I apologize. Everything glitched. If you can't hear me or understand me, let me know. Sometimes I mumble a little bit. I like to tell people before that. Based on your review of the reports, Ms. Fleckner was not at the residence at the time the search warrant was served.
Correct.
And at the time that law enforcement made contact with her, they did not perform a search of her.
Correct.
And later, law enforcement interviewed both of Ms. Fleckner's children.
Correct.
Neither of those children identified the methamphetamine as being Ms. Fleckner's.
For the record, how old are the children?
I don't know. They're 7 and 10, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I don't believe so.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, redirect.
Ms. Fleckner does reside at the residence, correct?
Correct.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, additional questions from either counsel? Okay, you may step down. Thank you. Any arguments from defense?
Not for today's purposes.
No, Your Honor, just one note of correction. I don't believe Rita Wenzel lives at the residence.
Okay. For a bind over, I don't think that is relevant or necessary. However, thank you for the update. Based upon the testimony of Captain Meade, the court will find that felony was probably committed by the defendants in this matter. The court must look at the evidence in the light most favorable to the state. So I do find the probable cause and bind the matters over informations.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going through and filing the informations for both cases. Right now, they will mirror the criminal complaint in both instances.
Proceed with arraignments today or set for another day.
Can we just have a second?
You may.
So we can go ahead and enter those not guilty pleas on the case study. And then we can set their status terms. And then it's proof of the discharge and they're going to be so we just take care of that section. And then right behind is Mr. Secretary, so it's just finding out.
Excuse me.
We're ready to proceed with arraignment.
They mirror the criminal complaints. Ms. Landgraf, does Mr. Belial yet understand the allegations and the maximum penalties?
It does. We'd waive a formal reading, enter not guilty pleas to all counts.
Not guilty pleas will be entered on your behalf on all counts. Ms. Hanu, as to Ms. Fleckner.
Yes, Your Honor, she's aware of the maximum possible penalties of both charges. We would waive formal reading and enter not guilty.
Not guilty pleas will be entered on her behalf. She is entitled to a jury trial, would be entitled to a speedy trial should she request one. Has an offer already been presented pre-prelim?
Yes, for both co-defendants, offers were communicated, but an updated offer does need to be communicated to Attorney Landgraf for Mr. Belisle.
Updated offer.
The updated offer, it's gonna kind of depend on what kind of treatment he's willing to do so that we can enter in those negotiations. I just need to schedule a phone call with her so we can hash out those details.
Okay, so it depends on whether or not he wishes to engage in treatment
Correct, Your Honor.
and what type.
Some kind of AODA, some kind of,
It was a question.
oh,
And what type, question mark?
yes, it's gonna be AODA and follow through, or if he does some kind of inpatient treatment regarding to potential drug abuse issues, I'd be willing to do something substantially different than what I offered.
All right. And there's another open matter, confidential matter. Did you take that into account?
Yes, that's why I received new information from the department. That's part of the reason why I'm updating these offers.
Excellent. All right, thank you. We can get a status conference set. I don't have a time. I'm gonna try and set it on our permanency plan date, but I don't have a time. We're coming back. Holy cow, it's way out there. March 30th. And I could do anytime between 9 and 10. Oh, actually, or I could do after that too. I could do 10:45 and on.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I missed the date.
March 30th.
That works for me.
Okay. So does March 30th at 10:45 work?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. March 30th at 10:45. We will see you then. We are adjourned. We will go on the record in the matter 25 CF 175, State of Wisconsin versus Jared Kokesh. The state appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. Mr. Kokesh appears in person with counsel Emma Hanu. We're set for a status conference. Ms. Hanu, please update the court.
Thank you, Your Honor. This afternoon, DA Schmidt had some more negotiations. There's an offer that I believe Mr. Kokesh would be amenable to. However, Your Honor, early this morning, Mr. Kokesh's father passed away. He's experiencing a lot of grief. I don't know that today is an appropriate time to go through the terms of a deal. And I would just be requesting one final status to give him the time to grieve his father.
So sorry for your loss, sir. Was it sudden?
He had dementia, but yeah, kind of.
You knew it was coming, but you didn't know yesterday.
I thought he was going to suffer with dementia for far longer, but apparently not.
This involves victims, and I think the victim is pretty active in this case. Could we just have another status on April 2nd? I just want to be updated on what the offer is. I'm not going to make you have to tell me right now. If you want to tell me right now, we can go out farther, but I don't want to put any more burden on Mr. Kokesh.
I would be available. All I would ask is if Mr. Kokesh is obviously going to have a memorial and a funeral for his father. Those tend to happen in pretty
Doesn't
short
have to
order.
come. I
Okay.
just want to know what the offer is.
Yeah. If Mr. Kokesh's personal appearance could be waived for that, then I would be able to have time to go through it with him and then update the court.
As long as he knows that at the next court date, I'm not going to take, I didn't have notice. I didn't talk to my attorney.
Completely understood, Your Honor.
All right. Yes, on April 2nd, we'll just do it right before your 1:30 case. So we'll set it for 1:30. All right. So your appearance is waived at the next hearing. Just make sure you're in contact with your attorney for the next court date, okay?
Will do.
Okay, thank you. If you want a notice, you can get it. If not, then no big deal. Mr. Fisher, any luck? We'll go on the record. In the matter 26 CF 22, State of Wisconsin versus Jesse James. The state appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt. It says Joel. Oh, no, sorry, read the wrong. It says Jose.
I charged it out, but it's his week technically.
He's just here because there's a conflict
conflict of
case in
two.
this initial appearances.
It's a conflict case for you.
Not this one.
case. There's a-
He's only doing one case. He's doing Kara Tomacheski.
But this is his case where I need to follow his case kind of thing.
Correct.
So weird, but you're here and it's your case. So it's weird.
Doesn't matter, Your Honor. If you, I
Okay.
can hop on it.
We'll go on the record in the matter 26 CF 22, State of Wisconsin versus Jesse James. The state appears through District Attorney and Assistant District Attorney Jose Vila and Kevin Schmidt. We have Joel Feliski, Defense Counsel in person. We have Mr. James in person. We're set today in this matter for an initial appearance. Mr. Feliski, were you able to go over the criminal complaint with Mr. James?
I was, Your Honor. I believe he understands the charges here and the maximum possible penalties. Will waive formal reading to the misdemeanor counts, enter in a plea of not guilty, and would ask for a preliminary hearing to be scheduled outside of time limits.
All right, not guilty plea for any misdemeanors. We can get the prelims scheduled. I could do April 13th at 3:30.
That will work, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, is your address still on First Avenue North?
Yes,
Telephone ends in, I don't have one. Can I get a telephone, please?
715-990-6485.
Right, may we send you text message notifications?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You can come get your notice and you're free to leave. We will go on the record in the matter 26 CF 20, State of Wisconsin versus David Strenke. The state appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. Mr. Strenke appears in person with counsel Emma Hanu. We're set today for an initial appearance. Ms. Hanu, did you go over the criminal complaint with Mr. Strenke?
Yes, Your Honor, we would waive formal reading, acknowledge receipt, and request a preliminary hearing outside of time limits.
All right, thank you. There was some motion for bond modification.
There was, Your Honor. Obviously, Mr. Schenke was able to post bond, so at this time I would withdraw that motion.
All right, I couldn't recall if it had anything other than.
And that's where today's court proceedings come to a close. While no final verdicts were handed down in most of these cases, each hearing moved the legal process one step closer to resolution. From bond modifications and plea negotiations to preliminary hearings and trial scheduling. Remember, an initial appearance or arraignment isn't a determination of guilt. It's simply the beginning of the courtroom journey. Which case caught your attention the most? And do you think the court handled these proceedings fairly? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more courtroom breakdowns.
The money issue. All right, so let's get a preliminary hearing. I could do it on April 13th at 3:30.
I am not available at that time. Any other time that day I'm available.
Okay, I can, well, any other time. Could you do 2:15?
Okay. So I apologize. I did just lie. So from 2 to 3, I'm busy. Anything prior to that, I would be
That's
able to
okay.
do.
I'm booked the rest of the
Okay.
time. So let's just try and move to April 16 at 10:45.
I am out at a conference.
Are you at a conference on April 15?
No, but I am in a 2.5 hour long sentencing hearing from 9 to 11.
What county?
Washburn. And then I will be traveling after that.
Righty. April 30th at 2:45.
That will work.
All right, you can come get your notice and you're free to leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
Landgraf and Mr. Taylor. We will go on the record in the matters 26 CF 17, 26 FO 49, 50, 51, and 52. State of Wisconsin versus James Taylor. The state appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. We have Renee Landgraf, Defense Counsel in person. Mr. Taylor appears in person as well. We're set today for initial appearances. Ms. Landgraf, were you able to go over the criminal complaint with Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor, we'd waive a formal reading. We're prepared to waive the preliminary hearing today if I may approach.
Yes, not guilty pleas on all of the ticket matters.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor, thank you, Ms. Landgraf, for doing this form. I have in front of me a waiver of preliminary hearing document. Do you recognize the document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did your attorney thoroughly go over this document with you,
Yes, she did.
word for word?
Yes, she did.
You understand everything completely?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that once you waive a preliminary hearing, it's forever and you cannot get it back?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anyone made any threats or promises to you for you to waive your right to a preliminary hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, have they promised you anything or threatened you?
No, no, no.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, no, that's okay. And so you're doing this on your own free will?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that your signature?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
I'll find that you're competent, you're freely, intelligently, and voluntarily waiving the right to a preliminary hearing. I will find probable cause and bind the matter over. Information, Mr. Schmidt.
I'm generating and filing it right now. It's going to mirror the criminal complaint. Should be filed in just a few more seconds.
Proceed with an arraignment or set it for another date.
We can proceed with arraignment, enter not guilty plea.
A guilty plea will be entered on your behalf. You are entitled to a jury trial, would be entitled to a speedy trial should you request one. I'm going to presume an offer was presented and you're considering it.
There has been an offer, Your Honor, but I do have a couple concerns about some constitutional issues, so I do need some time to get discovery and review that before we know what we're doing in this case.
Just normal course.
Yes.
May 7th at 10.
And that's for status?
Yes.
Yes.
May 7th at 10 o'clock, you can come get your notice and you're free to go. But first, let me verify, is your address still in Oak Road?
Yes, Your Honor.
Telephone ends in 7835.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You can come get your notice. It says we need fingerprints. Were you arrested?
No.
Okay. So you're gonna need to get a form from Olivia up here and then go to the day reporting for the jail and just provide your fingerprints.
Okay.
Okay, and you'll be free to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not sure where she is, Your Honor. I had communications with her today, so
If you want to try and give a call while I go through
I will, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Gangelhoff's. We will go on the record in the matter 25 CF 60, 25 TR 334, State of Wisconsin versus Kim Gangelhoff. The state appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. Ms. Gangelhoff appears in person with counsel Emma Hanu. We're set today for status conferences. Ms. Hanu, please update the court.
Thank you, Your Honor. A resolution has been reached in this matter, so we'll be requesting a plea and sentencing date.
And everything's been taken care of. Wasn't there fines and fees or something?
We worked it out.
We were able to work that out, Your Honor.
You got a payment plan or something?
We figured something out.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm really so glad to hear that. Okay. So let's go ahead and get that set. And I'm looking at your week and not trying to squeeze it in.
This one I should probably do since I've been with it since the start.
If we do that, I won't have time until May 6th at 10.
I am in Milwaukee that week, Your Honor.
That whole week?
Yes.
I can make something work on one of Jose's weeks then.
Okay, I can do it next Tuesday, anytime between 9 and 10, unless